right, let me get out of here. I have gone up here before, but what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go up for some time and then come back down. So yeah, I'll just get the nearest turning point, and then yikes, be out of here. Okay, that should do it. Sorry, yeah. All right, so that concludes the video. That concludes the video. A very big thank you to each and every single one of you for your support. Jeez, I need some coffee and I need to eat. So yes, this is absolutely beautiful. So yes, this is what I wanted to show you guys anyways. Climbing back down. Alrighty. Well, I won't be doing a short video on this one. That means I'll have to stop, and then yeah, I wish I had enough time, but there is nothing that I can do. So yeah, let me head back to the airport. All right, so that concludes it for us, ladies and gentlemen. No thanks. Can I go ZQN? Queenstown Airport. So that's another 15 minutes drive to the airport. So anyways, a very big thank you to each and every single one of you. What a beautiful day it is. Well, fortunately, you can't win them all. Yep. Alright, so driving back into the city, making my way to the airport. I need to fill up this car and possibly get something to it. 10:33. Anyways, radio back on.
Fonterra's announced a 55-cent total dividend return for the past financial year and a final farm gate price of $7.83. ANZ's head says it's time to introduce a capital gains tax as a fair measure for people investing in housing. The PSA has stopped media attending a speech by Public Service Minister Nicola Willis at its annual conference. Willis has fronted orders to cut thousands of government jobs and has taken the scalpel to public servants working from home. Commercial fishing vessels are being given an extra 3 months to meet requirements to install cameras. State Highway 6 is closed between Westport and Anangahua after a crash involving a truck about 9 a.m, giving one person moderate injuries. Cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike has told the US Congress it's determined to make sure July's global IT outage after a software update won't happen again. Volunteers from around the world have joined the annual Great Kaikoura whale hunt. 51 humpbacks were spotted over 2 weeks in June and July, and sperm, blue and southern right whales were also seen. The The code at the counter. How a Hastings vape store sold cigarettes for $5. Find out how at NZ Herald Premium. Back to Kerry Woodham.
Thank you so much, Malcolm. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Terry. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. So I actually distribute and sell facial recognition solutions and part of our suite of products we have into the market.
In a position to figure out if it has met all three of those criteria that you talk about.
So I've said that I expect to be able to announce my findings from my inquiry, and we'll also be able to look at the independent evaluation as well before the end of this year, Ingrid.
Okay, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much. That is Privacy Commissioner Michael Webster here with, his investigations into the use of facial recognition and other biometric technology being used. It is at 26 minutes past 8 now.
All right, and we're going to go to the issue of freedom camping now. The Queenstown Lakes has had its freedom camping bylaw ruled invalid by the High Court. The bylaw defined where freedom camping could happen, but the Motor Caravan Association challenged it, claiming the council focused on irrelevant issues. Queenstown Lakes District Council Chief Executive Mike Dealing joins us now. Kia ora, good morning.
Hi, Colin.
Okay, we just need a bit of a recap here. So this bylaw, you brought this in to cope with what? Too many people just parking up and all the issues that we sort of remember from a few years ago. But what has the court actually found here that was wrong with your bylaw?
So what the court has declared is that the bylaw is invalid, and in particular the court has identified that in endeavouring to, quantify where and how freedom camping impacts on the district, that the council considered some irrelevant matters. So in particular felt that we went too far in trying to ascertain sort of the impact of freedom camping on adjoining properties, on neighbours and on the general environment, rather than focusing on where the law directed councils towards.
And did you concede that was the case, or you do have a different view?
Look, we accepted that the analysis had gone further than what the Act identified, but I suppose we were
and gentlemen, a very, 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 very good morning to each and every single one of you from Tāhuna Highway, Milford, Tāhuna Highway, Tāhuna Milford Highway, and then linking Tāhuna to Queenstown Highway via Kingston. Alright, yes, I have left Tāhuna behind me, heading towards Queenstown, which you guys will see. Once again, another opportunity for another content. Tāhuna to Queenstown drive, so that you guys can see the drive from the other direction, because I believe I've done the video from Queenstown to Tāhuna, so there's always an opportunity to always do another video from another angle for you guys. And yes, I'll be flying back out, so I need to head to Queenstown to drop the car from the rental and then go to the airport and wait. I'll try and see if I can head to the city center just to drive around, but I'm not sure if that would be the plan, because looking at the fact that I did not leave as planned and I need to drop the car at a specific time, if not I incur some charges. But I'll see what I can do briefly, see if I can just go around Queenstown city center. The only saving grace for me is to just increase my speed, plus I need to actually buy some petrol as well. So I'll just increase my speed and see if I can make up for lost time. Anyways, thank you guys very much. Hit that like button as I prepare to overtake this guy. Just let me see where the road is winding and how the road is, because I can't be stuck behind this guy at 80 kilometers an hour. That is ridiculous. So yes, if you've enjoyed, hit that like button. It is food for the YouTube algorithm. And yes, if this is your first time on here, we do things like this on a regular basis, so please pledge your allegiance to us, give us your full support. And yes, let us continue to grow and give you guys the best of the best travel road trips around New Zealand. Yeah, thank you very much, and let me put my radio back on. Thank you.
Work with the biggest benefit. The impact on concentration is harder to quantify, so we've got to put ranges around it because the confidence is a little bit lower.
Okay.
But even then, what you find is there's just massive benefit to be had because people aren't getting sick. They're not listening in environments with too much carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, which is just generally good for you. Full stop.
What are our indoor air standards in New Zealand? How are they enforced? global IT outage on the 19th of July. Its full impact is really only now becoming apparent. A rogue software update by the US cybersecurity company CrowdStrike crippled up to 8.5 million computers using Microsoft systems around the world. Adam Myers is a senior executive at CrowdStrike. He is going to testify at the US Congress today. The BBC's Zoe Kleinman.
Thousands of flights grounded, doctors' appointments cancelled, TV channels falling off air. The IT outage felt around the world in July is being described as the worst cyber event in history. Microsoft said around 8.5 million computers around the world were disabled after a cybersecurity company called CrowdStrike sent out a corrupted software update to its nearly 24,000 customers, many of them huge companies we rely on in our everyday lives. So how did this happen? It's a tale of two glitches. CrowdStrike says it did have a system in place to make sure its updates worked properly before it released them. But a glitch in that system meant it didn't pick up another glitch in the update itself. And we all know what happened after that. As you'd expect, the company now says better testing and checks will help in the future. Tough questions are expected for CrowdStrike later today, when one of its bosses will be grilled by US lawmakers in Congress.
The key answers that we need from this hearing is, firstly, confirmation of the technical detail of what went wrong. What was the failure in process here? Has a failure of process been identified? And if so, thirdly, what has changed since? And what are CrowdStrike going to do to prevent this going wrong in future?
It may seem shocking that a company many people have never heard of could cause so much chaos, but it's also a reminder of just how fragile digital life can be and how little control we have over the tech which drives it.
A report from the BBC's Zoe Kleinman. It's 11 to 9.
The New Plymouth District Council is under fire for what locals are calling the botched job. It's made of fixing a dangerous intersection in the city. The intersection at Tāhuna and Carrington Streets is on a main arterial route linking one side of the city with the other. Our Taranaki Whanganui reporter Robin Martin has more.
Work began on the busy junction in 2020, and almost immediately residents and businesses complained it was making things worse. The council put in a raised crossing and gardens as part of an $800,000 package of safety improvements, incorporating the nearby Vogeltown School. But the crossing is confusing, as it's not a proper pedestrian
limited. That was why I reduced my speed to the minimum so that nobody collides with me for no reason. Position ourselves to Queenstown to the direction of Queenstown. So let's keep going. Hopefully the radio starts working. Anyways, enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Night Tonight. Autism diagnoses done via online consultations are no longer being accepted by the Ministry of Social Development. Now look at why and to make it harder for some people to get help. Earlier, Minister is a world-renowned expert credited with getting the World Health Organization to recognise the airborne transmission of COVID. She's now saying it's time for mandatory indoor air quality standards in public buildings. She'll explain the millions that could be saved if we make the move. The total entrepreneur has developed software to manage vehicle fleets around the country. And after 10 are some people genetically wired for success in the arts. Dr. Lynn Kelly, in her latest venture, has been exploring the source of human creativity. And could some of it, at least, if not much of it, come down to one single gene? She's with me after 10. 7 minutes past 9 on Night Tonight. Well, first today, Autism New Zealand says the Ministry of Social Development is no longer accepting funding applications for people diagnosed by online consultation with a psychologist, and that people will now find it harder than ever to get help. The Ministry says nothing has changed, and it's only following evidence-based guidelines that the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder should be done in person. However, it acknowledges that during the COVID-19 pandemic, distance diagnoses were needed. Autism New Zealand says it began hearing only in recent months from those who've been declined funding and also from psychologists that MSD had increasingly been
services that a telehealth or an online diagnosis of autism is not going to be accepted, and we were somewhat shocked by that. I acknowledge that in 2009 the guidelines did say that best practice is to have those diagnoses in person and by a multidisciplinary team, and where possible, that's what we're still looking for. But we have moved on from 15 years ago and given massive leaps in digital technology since then, and the shift away in the way we work and interact via video calls like today, and this seems outdated, and I think it needs to be urgently reviewed. I will premise this by saying that there is now starting to get quite a large evidence base or efficacy for telehealth assessment for adults in particular. We do acknowledge there could still be some challenges with children because there is a component of that child's diagnosis a little bit more complicated, but we do acknowledge adults in particular, and given we had research back in 2019, I think released in 2020, 80% of adults get diagnosed privately, only 20% get publicly. I suggest that's got worse. I'm also hearing now that it's really hard for adults to even get a referral to be diagnosed anywhere in the country. So this just makes it less accessible for our community, whether they're at the west coast of the South Island or even in Auckland. It's really hard to get a referral now. So it just seems to me
you accept that for adults, the preference is a face-to-face appointment. But can you explain exactly what goes into an application with UHD? It's not one quick Zoom meeting, is it? Like what is
No, it's quite a long process. Yeah, so we had a contract through Waikato last year, which was a really positive contract, was getting people needs assessment ready. So they come, we actually run a diagnosis clinic ourselves out of our resource centre in Petone, and it's a we do use the gold standard diagnosis, and we run it 2 days a week, and over 2 days a week you can generally diagnose 2 people on average. So once you get your diagnosis, then there's a needs assessment process, which as a family member or an adult, you need to know what you're going in and actually asking for as well. So if you don't know that, that makes it really difficult to get what you're entitled to. So we helped a lot of families through that process and adults through that process understand what their needs look like and actually get with them to some of those meetings so they would understand that it's quite an arduous process. I read the report the other day. I think our team spent at least 8 hours with every person post-diagnosis and getting the needs assessment ready. So yeah, it's quite a long process.
It is a telehealth appointment with a psychologist. Could either of you speak to what is involved in it and relate it to perhaps what might happen in person?
Actually, probably good for you for that one, I'd say.
Yep, I can talk to that one. So if someone were to come through our program and do this assessment online, first they're sent a very broad range of psychometrics, yes, specifically to autism, but also for ruling out trauma, substance use, other mental health problems, psychosis, etc. Those people are handheld through that process by what we call a clinical support. So they explain what they're doing, why they're doing it, and helping them through that process. That probably takes 3 or 4 hours of time. Once they get in front of the psychologist already has all of the psychometric information. So inside of that interview process, it's a very detailed and very specific questions about the person's life that are needed to either rule in or rule out diagnoses. So when these diagnoses are being done, it's not just checking yes or no to autism, but it's looking at a well-rounded view of the person's life. That's collecting medical reports and school reports and interviewing people in their family, collecting observation reports in addition to that interview itself.
How does it differ from face-to-face? We heard Dane saying that with children in particular there are benefits, there may be observational benefits of face-to-face. But with adults, how does it differ?
Yeah, exactly. We primarily work with adults, and we find that they choose this method because it gives them time to think about the answers to the questions, so they're more forthcoming. They said they prefer to have this option because a lot of them also don't have access. We do a lot of rural support. So our big target areas are like West Coast, Bay and Plenty, Northland, Hawke's Bay, etc. So for a lot of people, they don't have a choice not to choose telehealth because there isn't something in their area. For us, we don't want the experience to be much different than face-to-face. We're still doing the same work as face-to-face, but over telehealth.
I think that what he's trying
Mecca is quite fast, seriously fast. That's going 120, 140. That is quite fast and disappearing into the distance. Well, at the end of the day, I need to keep to the speed limit within the regulations. But sometimes when you keep to the speed limit, the police that generate revenue will surely find something against you. But for this type of people, I don't know, the police is always blind. Or let me say the police are always blind in seeing them. But anyways, maybe they are late for their flight. Maybe they are running to Queenstown to catch a flight or something. So, yeah. But I won't be going that fast. I won't be chasing them. It is unnecessary for me at this point in time. So, yeah, let the two ladies go. Two ladies driving and breezing through. They should keep running. But as for me, I'll keep my speed constant with the cruise control at 105. If I need to overtake, I have another 5 to make it 110 to safely overtake and come back to my lane. Anyways, let me see if New Stock ZB radio is back on track. That's after I've crossed this 65 kilometers an hour bend. Let me reduce my speed. Yeah, it is a massive bend. Okay, and then back onto J's. Yeah, that was a hell of a bend. Anyways, let me see if New Stock ZB back on track. It's in 9.6. Where are you? Caught up to them, so they'll have some overtaking to actually do anyways. They'll have some overtaking to do. Queenstown 95 kilometers. Anyways, let me see how fast they go. And let me see how many overtakes they're able to do. This is 110 kilometers an hour. Like I said, they might be doing 120, 130, 140. So yes, I'm crossing 115. Nope, I am not going with you guys. No thanks. No serious thank you. Just stuck in behind and let them keep going. That's quite too fast.
Has been that one day everything will be as it really should. We believe that God has a plan to restore all of creation. We're looking ahead to the time when everything is made new. The Apostle Peter says that Christians are looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth where righteousness dwells. But hang on, why is there going to be a new heaven? What's wrong with the old one? Isn't heaven perfect already? Tara Lee Koppel talks about this in the Bible Recap. And when she explains the need for a new heaven, she refers to Isaiah chapter 14, where we read about Lucifer falling from heaven. And something which is also referred to in the New Testament. Take a listen.
Jesus references the same incident in Luke 10:18, and John references it again in Revelation 12. The point is, heaven has been tainted by sin too.
Tarali believes this means that heaven, as it currently is not perfect. So, like the earth, it also needs to be remade or recreated.
Heaven isn't perfect, so heaven must be recreated new, just like earth. It's all part of God's plan to restore all of creation.
It's all part of God's plan to restore all of creation. It's part of his plan to restore, redeem, and renew. One day this will happen, when we live with God forever. I believe this is what Christians have to look forward to. And that's why in the verse we started with, the Apostle Peter says that we are looking forward to a new heaven and a new...
Nationwide through
looking good. This time around I managed to secure myself a window seat. So hopefully flying out of Queenstown we should be able to see the glacier mountains from above for a much longer time, which is good. I don't know why I'm going as fast as these guys. I need to reduce my speed. Yeah, these guys are really belting. They are belting quite well. The sun is on my right hand side, it's really smacking my face, so the view of the valley should be good because the sun is on the other side, so it's not head on with the camera, so it should be crystal clear to see. Well, these guys on the straights, they are fast, but on the bends I don't know how good they will be on the bends. That is when I start to catch them, because I'm pretty rapid on the bends without even going fast. So yeah, I hope that they are fast as well. But yeah, these guys are really fast, incredibly fast, which is good for me so that I am behind them. bad news. One car has entered the lane, which will slow everybody. Yeah, that car should have at least looked 10 times before going in. But anyways, it doesn't matter because we have arrived at Atoll. I believe it was this area that the policeman stopped me, gave me some form of, gave me a fine and demerit points, telling me that when I pulled out like this to overtake, that he beamed me from the front, that he was coming head on, and then he fired his rod at me, which I know is a lie because I was stuck in behind another car that was going the same speed as me. So yeah, we'll need to challenge that in the court of law because I'm not gonna pull up with that rubbish. Well, I don't blame the policeman because there was one guy already in a car that was already going fast, so maybe he assumed that it was me. But anyways, I've already sent a letter to the police telling them that there is no problem if the police officer has fired his radar gun at me for pulling out like this to overtake the car, which I was directly in front of, maybe around 1.5 seconds behind that car, that they need to provide me the proof evidence of the speed of the car in front and my speed. If they can't provide it, they should withdraw their fine and their demerit point. If not, we'll go into a court case, which I don't mind doing. So that's what I told them. So we'll see what the outcome is. Yeah, because I was just directly in behind that car and then pulled over like this to see if there was a car coming, and bang on, there was another car just coming in front of me, and that car was a police car. Just as this car was coming, the police said he beamed the speed radar on me to catch my speed. That was 114. That the car in front of me was 95 or 96. I was like, what are you saying? Yeah, it got into an argument, but at the end of the day, I just told them, just issue me the ticket, I will challenge it. So yeah, I've written my long letter to the police department, traffic and infringement department, telling them to provide me evidence of not only my speed, but the speed of the car in front of me. That is what I want, those two evidences. If they can't provide that, then they should forget about me making any payment. I'll take it to court, and that will expose the fact that police are now assuming people's speed rather than actually getting the accurate speed, because there's no how you beam a speed camera in front of me and you will not catch the guy in front of me as over speeding. I believe in his mind was because I pulled out like this, I became a culprit or a suspect. We will see. And I'm quite convinced, very well convinced, that he doesn't have the evidence. And I'm very well convinced that the police department will tell me that they don't have evidence that you were caught right in the act, but you need to give me an evidence itself. Anyways, it is what it is. We'll keep moving. Enough rant from me. The two cars in front, they've made their overtake. They are really blazing through. They are quite fast. But that's not my problem. I am not in the business of going fast. But once I approach that car in front that they've overtaken, I may need to overtake myself so that the guy doesn't infringe me while going through the corners. Anyways, hit that like button if you've enjoyed. It is food for the YouTube algorithm. It does help quite a lot. If this is your first time on here, we do drives like this. We do drives like this on a regular basis, so please pledge thy allegiance to us, give us your full support, and let us continue to grow. Yeah, in whichever device you are watching from, please go log on in and hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Let me see if the radio is working. To see what's happening on the top of those mountains, like Mountain Glacier or something. Expected, Garston. I believe after Garston, is it Kingston? So from Garston we might hit Kingston, or maybe one more town than Kingston. All right, so the cars that I overtook, they've overtaken me back, which is all right, which was always bound to happen when you stop and you do a video. So yeah, alrighty. So you guys might have seen those glacier mountains when I was coming from Tāhuna. Okay, the Toyota is going to the left-hand side, Jack's Point. Anyways, let me keep going. So yes, we are approaching Queenstown. The radio should be working now. I want to go to Queenstown city center, you know, just to do some drive around and see what is happening. Let me position back the camera to the center point, so that you guys stop seeing the glacier on the left hand side, so that at least we can see things happening in the middle. So yeah, I should be there in about 10:30, Queenstown. So this is the Queenstown Cronwell Wanaka Road. Quite surprised that the radio is not working.
bloody long time, since the day that this boy took his life. I will never figure that out. His mum and I have discussed this at nauseam, trying to figure out what we've missed.
The Country, weekdays 12 till 1 on News Talk ZB.
returned today from a trip to China. I have to say there is no place I've ever felt as safe as I have when I was in China. Their security and technology to keep people safe is top notch. I think it's time that if we want this wonderful and amazing law-abiding society, we're going to either have to stump up for more police, or we're going to have to potentially adjust our expectation of freedoms, which is a really good point. Thank you for that and welcome home. Kerry, they should put facial recognition cameras on the buses as well as at each bus stop. Any offenders can then be alerted to officials and bus drivers before they actually get on. That's a jolly good point. There's a young man in a group of about 4 or 5 of them who was kicking the really lovely bus stop. They were just kicking the side of it. It's all beautifully engraved, and I said, why would you do that when it's there to keep you safe from the rain and the sun? And he just sort of smiled and stopped. It's like, why would you do that? You're using the public transport and it's been put up there really nicely. It's not an ugly utilitarian facility. It's a really nice bus stop. Designed to look good and designed to protect you and from the elements. And why would you do that? Bizarre. Tina says, I lived in China. Facial recognition is good, but it should not be given carte blanche. In China, it was used to prevent people from public transport, community areas, holds on passports, travel, and your bank accounts could be accessed to pay fines without any authorization. It's far from ideal in a New Zealand environment. Keep it limited to only shops. Don't let it get out of control. Remember, you may not have anything to hide, but technology is fallible. Thank you, Tina, and that's another interesting point. Hi, Colin.
G'day, Kerry, how are you?
Good. Your local Pack and Save was part of the trial.
Yeah, that's right. And as I was saying to the producer off air, there's absolutely no reason for me to suspect that anything was going on that was different from one day to the next, because the only reason I knew the trial was on was because there was a sign at the front window. So, you know, the only I guess, knowledge I had of it was that sign and, you know, the chat now going on the radio.
The only thing I'd say is I'm like you. I'm like, fill your boots, you know, take my photo, I don't care. But I have had my identity mistaken before by traffic police who thought I was driving while I was disqualified.
Yeah, well, that would concern me, but I think that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I regard myself as, you know, as honest as I can be, and I'm very unlikely to cause any trouble when I'm in a supermarket or retail store. So on that purely alone, I've got no issue with facial recognition and that sort of thing. If someone's information got hacked and it was obtained by legal means or used for, you know, some ulterior motive, that would be a risk.
Yeah.
Is it a risk I'm willing to take? Probably, because at the end of the day, if the trial is saving retail staff, and I've worked in retail, so, you know, I've copped a bit of stick from now and then, but, you know, if it saves people from being racially abused or threatened or beaten up, then I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Because as I say, I'm honest and I'm not going to cause any trouble, so I don't care. And like I say, I didn't even know that the cameras were in there, so I took the sign on the front door.
I have to say, I'm like you. Like when I was, you know, asked if I was driving, and I had to go to quite some lengths to prove I was not, I didn't take it personally. I didn't, you know. In fact, it was quite flattering because she was much younger and prettier than me, and it was just that she looked like me driving at speed. But, you know, I get where they were coming from, and I didn't take it personally. But then it doesn't happen very often that I am hauled up to explain myself.
And mistakes do you know, they do happen. I mean, when I lived in Nelson, I was going into town with my mountain bike on the back of my car one time. There had been a reported mountain bike stolen from Christchurch, and the description was similar to my one. So I got pulled over and obviously explained it, and they had a good look at it, and it wasn't the one they were looking for. But, you know, was I bothered that I got pulled over for having a mountain bike that looked similar to the one that had been stolen? No. And, you know, if I can, as I say, if I'm the honest one and if I'm not causing any trouble, then it's highly unlikely that anyone's going to go to great lengths to prove that I was. Clearly, can't be in two places at the same time.
No, exactly. No, like you, but then I wonder if that is, like, if I was continually
you know, if I was a lawyer or a police officer or a teacher or nurse, continually being pulled over and asked to explain myself, I might feel a bit differently about.
Yeah, I probably would too, and then that would come down to the system and who's putting the information in and the level of competence that person is. I mean, if you get pulled over and clearly it's not you, then it's up to the person who pulled you over or the relevant authority to make a note in the system, say, okay, we got that one wrong, it's not that person, so strike them from the record, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
I think,
move along. But
yeah, I think like you, my feelings being hurt aren't as important as somebody's face getting smashed in.
No, that's right. And, you know, like, I'm a Caucasian male, so, you know, I'm the last person that's these days allowed to say anything about anything, if you know what I mean. But, you know, I don't care. I mean, there's thousands of people that go into a supermarket each day.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I'm one person that's not causing trouble, then that's one person they don't have to worry about.
Yeah. No, good point.
So,
Lovely to talk to you, Colin.
Completely ambivalent on it.
When you worked in retail, what did they abuse you about?
Oh, just, you know, often it was, when I was in hospitality, it was, oh, you're just standing around talking and you're not serving fast enough. When you're in other retail, it's like someone goes on their break and, you know, you're left to run the counter, so to speak. And it just happens that someone comes in and they have to wait a few minutes, and it's just, you know, as I say, being Caucasian and male, I'm less likely to encounter that sort of stuff compared to someone who might be an immigrant or, you know, English might not be their first language sort of thing. And yeah, I've seen it, and it's not pretty. And, you know, regarding your discussion earlier about standing up for people, I mean, I'd be quite happy to do that, but I don't regard myself as being tough enough to basically deal with someone potentially pulling a knife or worse on me. I mean, 20 years ago when I worked in hospitality, all you had to worry about was people being a bit pissed.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have to worry about them being drug-induced the way they are now. It's far, I wouldn't work in hospitality now, but I would back then. It was the time of my life.
Well, exactly. I think the first time I knew about drugs in hospo was when the kids had come in full of ecstasy and wanted to love bomb you to death. You know, it was like,
well, that's right.
I just wanted to hug and stroke you.
Yeah, I've never been averse to having a pretty girl to do that to me. And, you know, I don't think anyone else is really, before we get too far down that road. But, you know...
Well, I could have got quite used to it too. It was lovely. Oh, Kerry, you were so soft and warm. Yes, okay, darling. Go and have a cup of water.
But times have changed, and, you know, so have the way people respond to those situations. I mean, if I was on a train and there were two guys or girls on off their heads, I'd be like, okay, I might just want to get off here before anything gets out of control where I can't deal with it. You know, I mean, I'm 6 foot and above average build, but I wouldn't consider myself tough.
Yeah.
But I'm strong enough to keep people apart, but I don't know what those people are going to have in their pockets to...
No, exactly. Exactly.
So,
good to talk, Colin. Thank you very, very much. News Talk ZB 1026.
Eden Park, it's a big place. I'm Blair, the turf manager, and it's a big job to keep it up to scratch. That's made easy with Wet and Forget. And like Eden Park, Wet and Forget is truly a Kiwi icon.
Available online or in Wet and Forget stores.
Petstock's mega sale is on now, in-store and online. Get an extra 10% off everyday low prices on dog and cat food and 20% off the rest of the store. Plus, collect everyday rewards points. Don't miss out, 2 days only, on now at Petstock. T's and C's apply.
COVID is still doing the rounds in New Zealand. The good news is there's a powerful way to protect yourself and your loved ones. The COVID vaccine is free and recommended if you're 65 or over, as long as you haven't had the vaccine or COVID in the last 6 months. To book your vaccine, visit bookmyvaccine.nz or call the vaccination helpline on 0800 28 29 26 now.
Shopping for tyres? Don't waste your time. Whether you need a new tyre or a few tyres, regular tyres or winter tyres, Frankton Tyre Services are ready when you are. No need to book. Just drive in, tell them what you need, and Frankton Tyre Services will get it done while you wait. And you won't be waiting long. All done? Geez, that was quick. So for the fastest tyre change in town, head to 164 Glenda Drive, Frankton.
Frankton Tyre Services. We do tyres fast.
Looking to buy your dream home? Find out what's for sale and what it's worth at oneroof.co.nz. There are thousands of property listings right across the country. Accurate estimated valuations based on the very latest sales figures, along with up-to-date news from trusted industry experts. Everything you need to know is at oneroof.co.nz. So, if you're in the market or even just thinking about it, make your search simple at One Roof Property. oneroof.co.nz.
Hi, I'm Robert Lamb. And I'm Joe McCormick, and we're the hosts of the science podcast, Stuff to Blow Your Mind. This show is the altar where we...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Queenstown. I believe this is the Lake Esplanade. So yes, the video is over, so you guys can please kindly hit that like button. It is food for the YouTube. I have been here before. I'll just go straight down, do a U-turn, and then heading back to the airport. I need to fill up the petrol, and after filling up the petrol I need to return the car back to budget. Need to return the car back to the rental guys, and let me just go in. Can I go out? Yes, you can. Just to show you guys what's going on, to be honest. All right, let me get out of here. I have gone up here before, but what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go up for some time and then come back down. So yeah, I'll just get the nearest turning point, and then yikes, be out of here. Okay, that should do it. Sorry, yeah. All right, so that concludes the video. That concludes the video. A very big thank you to each and every single one of you for your support. Jeez, I need some coffee and I need to eat. So yes, this is absolutely beautiful. So yes, this is what I wanted to show you guys anyways. Climbing back down. Alrighty. Well, I won't be doing a short video on this one. That means I'll have to stop, and then yeah, I wish I had enough time, but there is nothing that I can do. So yeah, let me head back to the airport. All right, so that concludes it for us, ladies and gentlemen. No thanks. Can I go ZQN? Queenstown Airport. So that's another 15 minutes drive to the airport. So anyways, a very big thank you to each and every single one of you. What a beautiful day it is. Well, fortunately you can't win them all. Yep. Alright, so driving back into this city, making my way to the airport. I need to fill up this car and possibly get something to it. 10:33. Anyways, radio back on.
Fonterra's announced a 55-cent total dividend return for the past financial year and a final farm gate price of $7.83. ANZ's head says it's time to introduce a capital gains tax as a fair measure for people investing in housing. The PSA has stopped media attending a speech by Public Service Minister Nicola Willis at its annual conference. Willis has fronted orders to cut thousands of government jobs and has taken the scalpel to public servants working from home. Commercial fishing vessels are being given an extra 3 months to meet requirements to install cameras. State Highway 6 is closed between Westport and Anangahua after a crash involving a truck about 9 a.m, giving one person moderate injuries. Cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike has told the US Congress it's determined to make sure July's global IT outage after a software update won't happen again. Volunteers from around the world have joined the annual Great Kaikoura whale hunt. 51 humpbacks were spotted over 2 weeks in June and July, and sperm, blue and southern right whales were also seen. The code at the counter. How a Hastings vape store sold cigarettes for $5. Find out how at NZ Herald Premium. Back to Kerry Woodham.
Thank you so much, Malcolm. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Kerry. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. So I actually distribute and sell facial recognition solutions and part of our 3-dot products we have into the market.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay. How long have you been doing that?
In this role, about 2 years, but I've been in security my whole career, so
right.
But we governments and different things. So it's interesting that the subject this morning, you're matching it, or everyone's talking about it, face recognition, that you're going to have the data of the person, the actual identity, and all the details. With this technology, what we're actually doing is when someone walks in, if they're a known perpetrator or they're caught in the store, the image that's seen by the cameras is then bookmarked. We take that face and bookmark it and don't even need the name, just put it down as a person or say the threat status. And when they walk back into the shop, that'll send an alert to the management security that person is back in the shop. So the actual platform won't record any personal information. They can look at the person, they've got photos of people who trespassed or shoplifted. Between the stores, they've got the possibility to share images through the same one, but if they actually keep the personal names and details, that's where the Privacy Commissioner, I think, would be very upset. So I think we're going to admit that they're going to know that it's Kerry Woodham walking into whichever store you go is not occurring. But the technology has come along that far that, you know, it's really great, very accurate. If they already know to have done something bad in the shop, you'll be alerted when the person is back home.
So they wouldn't go, "Oi, Kerry, get out of my store." They'd go, "Oi, you, get out of our store."
Well, they might know you by name because a lot of these people are recidivists, so it depends how good you are.
Right.
But I would say if they're keeping personal details in a database, the Privacy Commissioner will be shutting this down for a little bit. However, your face is a bit like a number plate on a cab. It's out in the public display. You recognise it in your mind that you've seen people before. Yeah.
Do you trust the technology?
I do. I trust it more and more. I mean, I was involved previous to this one is working for the passport gates. We sold a solution there during the now
of course, yeah.
passport photos.
Yeah.
That of course is actually using your face as an identity.
Like a thumbprint.
So your data matched to your, exactly. It's actually your face, what we call credential, matched to your passport. In this case, we're not using the face as a credential, which we're matching to database information. We're just going to say, if we see this face, okay, hey, it's a shoplifter or a violent person, something like that.
How do you get around, like, how much can people distort their faces? Like, I'm thinking about all the fillers and implants and stuff. I mean, you know, you can get cheekbones where you didn't have them before, and your teeth look better, and change the shape of your jawline. Yeah.
Nothing's foolproof. Your face is actually digitized. Remember, the camera's just saying 0 and 1.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's going to look at, it should be your nose is in relation to your eye, and the half of the head, and exactly like say cheeks, jaws and stuff. It's not looking at personal detail like skin tone or anything like that. It's actually looking at structures and everything in the face. So it's pretty good. I was at a security conference a while ago. I went back to the stand. It was just after COVID. I actually had a face mask on in Melbourne, and it still picked me up. It had a photo for me for 2 years. The only thing is it came up my gender okay, but it put 7 years on my age, which is a bit disappointing. So I just had to get some eyebrow dye.
Oh, interesting, because I wonder if they'd be able to recognise the Kardashian sisters from what they looked like before to what they look like now.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing the technology. Of course, it is technology. However, it is learning a lot of these information. I just had a talk this morning about recognising guns and weapons, so through cameras. And it'll take the image and actually send it up to the cloud, where they call it AI, artificial intelligence. That's just really high-speed decision making to verify there's a weapon of a gun and then comes out. So going forward, that's just going to be used more and more to verify the face. However, it always comes down to once it's alerted, creates an alert, it's up to the staff and the store to go on and actually go. They'll have a picture, of course, of people who've been trespassed or previous incidents, and now match it to their actual image with their human brain, which is probably better than anything.
It'd be interesting for people who are wary about this technology, because in the olden days when I was mistaken, it was a photo, it was a speed camera photo, where my mistaken identity happened. But in this case, is it actual photos? When you said it's just ones and twos, what does it look like?
Well, the photo looks like a photo when you look at it on the screen to the human eye.
Right.
Inside the actual solution, which is a computer program, of course, it's not looking at the visual image we see. So it creates a very long, everyone's got a different, it's taking how many millimeters apart of your eyes, these features, and everything comes with a code. That's very, very long identification from a number, and then when you come in again, if you're in a certain percentage of having the same kind of calculation outcome, it'll go, hey, I'll be at 98, 99% certain, or 93% certain, or whatever. So it's getting more and more accurate as time goes on, as the speed of computing power, which is going up, which is what they call artificial intelligence. It's actually the speed of decision making. It's not told what to look for, but it can move faster than the human brain moves, really.
Somebody says, what about if you're a twin or a triplet?
Depends how close your face is. That's any distinguishing features. If you're going to get a scale on the side of your face, maybe it might change it, or you get a broken nose, or probably alter it. But yeah, it's like anything. It's a tool to alert the staff that someone's come in and, hey, let's just go check that these are the people who are not to be on the premises, or just, you can be aware that someone who could maybe just kick off from once in a while are in the premises.
So interesting. Thank you very much, Scott. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat. News Talk CB. Interesting. It is 17 to 11.
Want to save every time you fill up at BP? Open a BP fuel card account for your business and save 14 cents per litre on every fill for your first 6 months. Plus, you'll enjoy 25 barista-made Wild Bean Cafe coffees on us, because everyone deserves a little pick-me-up. That's business the clever way. Apply online by 31 October to save 14 cents per litre with a BP fuel card. Visit bp.co.nz to find out more. BP fuel card and offer T's and C's apply. Discount is off the pump price of diesel and unleaded fuel.
After flying helicopters all over the world, Kurt Schoening came home to the family farm and decided smaller was better. So Drone Spray Otago was born. On the farm, their top-end drone can operate easily over steeper terrain, delivering spray.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys very much for watching. Kindly hit that like button. It is food for the YouTube algo. And yes, let me go do what I have to do. Possibly buy some petrol, fill it up, and get back to the airport to fly out so that I don't get charged. Thank you very much.